Life is a test of character. Every day, you face challenges that demand patience, resilience, and wisdom. The way you respond to these challenges determines how others perceive you, how much respect you command, and whether people see you as a leader or someone easily ignored. The ancient Stoics understood this better than anyone. They lived by principles that made them strong, respected, and unshakable in the face of adversity. Their wisdom has lasted for centuries because it works. It shapes a person into someone others prioritize, not by force, not by manipulation, but by embodying a way of life that naturally earns respect. The problem today is that many people chase validation instead of self-mastery. They try to impress others with words instead of actions. They seek approval instead of strength. The Stoics taught the opposite. They lived in a way that commanded respect effortlessly. If you want to be the kind of person that others admire, follow, and prioritize, you must adopt the mindset of a Stoic. You must build yourself into someone who does not seek recognition, but receives it naturally. The first principle is simple yet powerful. Control your emotions, or they will control you. People who react impulsively, who let anger, frustration, or fear dictate their actions, lose the respect of those around them. No one admires a person who is easily provoked. The Stoics trained themselves to remain calm, no matter the situation. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, ruled an empire and faced endless challenges, betrayals, and crises. Yet he remained composed. He knew that emotions cloud judgment, and that true power comes from controlling them. Imagine the impact you would have if you never overreacted, if you stayed calm in the face of insults, setbacks, or disappointments. People would see you as someone reliable, someone in control. That kind of presence is rare and valuable. The second rule is to never beg for attention or validation. The moment you seek approval, you give others power over you. Stoics never chased recognition because they understood that true value is proven through actions, not words. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." People waste time worrying about what others think, seeking validation that ultimately does not matter. The only thing that matters is living with integrity. When you stop chasing approval, you become more attractive, more respected, and more influential. Those who are desperate for attention repel others. Those who remain focused on their path draw people in naturally. Another fundamental rule is to embrace discomfort. Most people avoid anything that feels difficult or unpleasant, but the Stoics trained themselves to face hardship willingly. Epictetus was born into slavery, yet he became one of the greatest Stoic teachers in history. He did not complain about his circumstances. Instead, he accepted them and focused on what he could control: his mind, his actions, and his character. The modern world teaches people to seek comfort, to avoid struggle, but comfort breeds weakness. If you want to be respected, you must prove that you can endure discomfort without complaint. The person who can remain disciplined, who can work hard without seeking shortcuts, who does not break under pressure, this is the person that others admire. The next rule is to speak less and do more. In a world where everyone is trying to be heard, the one who speaks with purpose stands out. The Stoics believed that words should be measured, meaningful, and backed by action. Talking too much, making promises without follow-through, or constantly seeking to prove yourself with words weakens your influence. People respect those who speak only when necessary, and whose words carry weight because they are backed by actions. If you want to be taken seriously, say less and do more. Let your results speak for you. The fifth principle is to cultivate inner peace. A mind that is constantly restless, anxious, or filled with distractions cannot lead. The Stoics practiced mindfulness long before it became popular. They understood that true strength comes from a calm and focused mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Many people are controlled by their circumstances, reacting to every little problem as if it is the end of the world. The Stoic remains centered, knowing that external events do not determine inner peace. When you cultivate this level of mental clarity, people notice. They see you as someone who is not easily shaken, someone who remains strong no matter what happens. The sixth principle is to master self-discipline. In a world full of distractions, those who can control their impulses stand out. Most people give in to every craving, every moment of laziness, every excuse that crosses their mind. But the Stoics knew that discipline is the foundation of greatness. They trained themselves to act according to reason, not impulse. They understood that true freedom comes from mastering oneself, not from indulging every desire. The person who can wake up early, work hard without needing motivation, and stick to their commitments even when they don't feel like it, that is the person who earns respect. Discipline is rare, and anything rare is valuable. When people see that you are consistent, that you follow through on your words, they take you seriously. They know you are someone they can trust. If you want to stand out, become the kind of person who does what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. The Stoics believed that emotions should not dictate actions. Principles should. If you wait until you feel like doing something, you will never be reliable. But if you act because it is the right thing to do, you become unshakable. Another crucial rule is to expect hardship. Most people go through life hoping everything will be easy, and when problems arise, they complain, panic, or feel like victims. But the Stoics understood that struggle is a natural part of life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." He knew that problems are inevitable, but suffering is optional. Instead of fearing hardship, the Stoics welcomed it as training. They believed that every difficulty was an opportunity to grow stronger. Imagine if instead of being surprised by setbacks, you expected them and faced them calmly. People would see you as someone who does not break under pressure, someone who can handle adversity with grace and strength. That kind of mindset is rare, and it makes you stand out. While others complain about small inconveniences, you remain steady. While others panic in a crisis, you take action. This is how the Stoics became leaders, not because they had easier lives, but because they faced difficulty with resilience. The eighth principle is to detach from things you cannot control. Many people waste time worrying about things outside their influence. They stress over what others think of them. They try to control outcomes that are beyond their reach, and they let external circumstances dictate their happiness. But the Stoics understood that true power comes from focusing only on what can be controlled. Epictetus said, "Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. If you focus on what you cannot change, you weaken yourself. But if you direct all your energy toward your own actions, your own thoughts, and your own choices, you become powerful." People admire those who are not easily disturbed. The person who stays focused, who does not get lost in worry, who does not waste energy on things they cannot change. That is the person who stands out. The moment you let go of what is out of your control, you gain freedom. You become immune to unnecessary stress, and that calm confidence makes others take notice. Another essential rule is to value your time. The Stoics treated time as their most valuable resource because it is the one thing you can never get back. Seneca warned against wasting time on meaningless activities, pointless arguments, and distractions that add no real value to life. He said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. If you respect your time, others will too. If you let people interrupt your focus, pull you into useless debates, or waste your hours on things that do not align with your goals, you are giving away your most valuable asset." The Stoic approach is to be intentional, to use time wisely, to focus only on what truly matters. If you live this way, people will recognize your seriousness. They will see that you are not like the rest, drifting through life without purpose. They will respect your time because you respect it yourself. The more disciplined you are with your time, the more valuable you become to others. The final principle is to lead by example. The Stoics never preached about how others should live. They simply embodied their philosophy, and by doing so, they inspired those around them. Actions always speak louder than words. If you want to influence others, if you want to be respected, do not tell people how to live. Show them. Be the person who remains calm under pressure. Be the person who follows through on commitments. Be the person who does not chase approval, who does not waste time on things that do not matter, who faces hardship with strength. When you live this way, people will notice. They will seek your advice. They will respect you, not because you demand it, but because you have earned it. The Stoics believed that character is destiny. The way you live determines the kind of life you will have. If you adopt these principles, if you embody them fully, you will become the kind of person that others admire, follow, and prioritize. The key to standing out in life is not in chasing attention, but in becoming the kind of person people naturally gravitate toward. The Stoics understood that respect, influence, and success are byproducts of living with integrity, discipline, and purpose. Most people go through life reacting to circumstances, letting their emotions dictate their actions, and wondering why they don't get the results they want. But those who embrace Stoic principles take full ownership of their lives. They don't rely on luck or external validation. They build themselves into individuals who command respect, not through force, but through undeniable strength of character. Imagine walking into any room and instantly being seen as someone who is reliable, calm under pressure, and confident without arrogance. This isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about developing the mindset and habits that naturally create this effect. It's about training yourself to respond to life in a way that sets you apart. When most people panic, you remain steady. When others complain, you take action. When they seek approval, you focus on your mission. This is how leaders are made, not by words, but by consistent action. To live by Stoic principles is to recognize that external events are unpredictable, but your response to them is within your control. In any situation, you always have a choice. You can react emotionally, or you can respond with wisdom. Most people let circumstances dictate their mood and behavior. A single inconvenience ruins their entire day. They get angry at traffic, frustrated by delays, and upset over small things that won't matter in a week. The Stoic approach is different. Instead of wasting energy on what you cannot change, You train yourself to remain composed. You focus only on what is within your power, your thoughts, your actions, your attitude. This level of self-mastery is rare. And because it is rare, it is valuable. The moment you stop being easily rattled, people will notice. The moment you refuse to engage in pointless arguments, people will respect you. The moment you demonstrate unshakable focus, people will admire you. The world is filled with distractions, but those who remain centered stand out effortlessly. One of the most powerful aspects of Stoicism is its emphasis on preparation. The Stoics did not wait for hardship to arrive before developing resilience. They practiced it daily. They prepared their minds for difficulties in advance, so that when challenges came, they were ready. This is something most people fail to do. They assume life will be smooth, and when difficulties arise, they are caught off guard. But if you train yourself to expect obstacles, to embrace them as part of the journey, nothing can truly shake you. Think about the last time something unexpected disrupted your plans. Did you react with frustration, or did you adapt immediately? The Stoics understood that flexibility is power. Rigidity leads to frustration, but adaptability leads to success. If you become the kind of person who welcomes challenges instead of fearing them, you will develop an advantage that few possess. You will no longer waste time resisting reality. Instead, you will focus on solutions. This mindset applies to every aspect of life. In business, those who thrive are the ones who adapt. In relationships, those who build strong connections are the ones who stay composed instead of reacting emotionally. In personal growth, those who succeed are the ones who take full responsibility for their progress instead of blaming circumstances. Everything comes down to mindset. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Another core principle that makes a person truly stand out is the ability to stay silent when necessary. Most people speak impulsively, reacting without thinking, saying things they later regret. The Stoics practiced the art of restraint. They knew that words have power, and that sometimes the most powerful response is silence. When you speak only when necessary, when your words carry weight because you do not waste them on meaningless chatter, people listen. They respect you because they know that when you do speak, it matters. Contrast this with those who talk endlessly, giving opinions on everything, reacting emotionally, and engaging in gossip. Their words lose value because they lack discipline. But the person who knows when to speak and when to remain silent, this person commands respect effortlessly. Silence is not weakness. It is control. It is the ability to choose when and how to respond, instead of being controlled by emotions. The moment you master this, you become different from the majority. You develop an aura of authority without needing to force it. There is also great power in how you carry yourself. Stoicism is not just about how you think. It's about how you present yourself to the world. Your posture, your tone, your energy. These things communicate more than words ever could. If you walk with confidence, if you maintain eye contact, if you move with purpose, people will notice. Not because you are trying to impress them, but because true confidence cannot be faked. This is why the Stoics emphasized inner work. They understood that external confidence is a reflection of inner mastery. When you are secure in who you are, when you do not need validation, when you are focused on your own growth rather than trying to prove yourself to others, you become magnetic. People are drawn to those who radiate quiet confidence. They sense authenticity. In contrast, those who try too hard to appear important, who constantly seek attention, who need to prove themselves, they do the opposite. Their insecurity is obvious. The Stoic approach is to let actions speak, to develop yourself so thoroughly that you do not need to announce your value. People simply recognize it. This is what makes a person stand out in any setting. Not arrogance, not loudness, not the need for approval, but self-mastery. The ability to stay composed under pressure, to focus only on what matters, to carry yourself with quiet confidence. This is the kind of person who is prioritized, respected, and followed. But becoming this person is not something that happens overnight. It requires daily practice. It requires awareness of your own weaknesses, discipline to correct them, and patience to keep improving. The Stoics understood that excellence is not a destination. It is a way of life. And those who commit to this path are the ones who rise above the rest. The process of becoming unshakable, of standing out through quiet strength and discipline, is not something most people are willing to commit to. They seek shortcuts. They want instant respect, immediate results, effortless success. But the truth is, those who genuinely rise above the rest do so because they are willing to embrace what others avoid. They are willing to endure discomfort, to master themselves, and to reject the distractions that keep most people stagnant. One of the greatest advantages you can develop is the ability to do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel in the moment. Most people let their emotions dictate their actions. If they don't feel motivated, they procrastinate. If something is difficult, they avoid it. If progress is slow, they give up. But those who follow Stoic principles understand that emotions are fleeting, and discipline is what determines success. They train themselves to act based on what is necessary, not based on what is easy or convenient. Think about it. How many times have you seen people set ambitious goals, only to abandon them the moment things become uncomfortable? They start strong, filled with enthusiasm, but as soon as obstacles appear, their motivation fades. The Stoics knew this pattern well, which is why they focused not on motivation, but on consistency. They understood that true strength is found in showing up, in pushing forward regardless of external conditions, in refusing to let temporary emotions dictate long-term results. This mindset separates those who merely dream from those who achieve. It's easy to want success, to desire respect, to wish for a better life. But wanting is meaningless without action. The Stoics emphasized the power of effort, of showing up daily, of training oneself to endure difficulty without complaint. This is what makes a person unstoppable. When you cultivate this level of resilience, you become the kind of person who doesn't need external validation to keep going. You don't rely on applause, encouragement, or ideal conditions. You move forward because you have trained yourself to do so, because you have built a foundation that cannot be shaken by setbacks or temporary struggles. Another powerful principle the Stoics lived by was the ability to let go of what they could not control. This is one of the hardest lessons to learn, but it is also one of the most liberating. Most people waste an enormous amount of energy worrying about things outside their influence, other people's opinions, the past, unpredictable events. They get caught up in things they cannot change, and in doing so, they weaken themselves. But the Stoics took a different approach. They focused only on what was within their power, their own actions, their own mindset, their own responses. Everything else they accepted as part of life. This gave them an incredible advantage. While others were distracted by worry, by resentment, by frustration, they remained focused. They didn't waste time on pointless complaints. They channeled all their energy into what they could actually influence. Imagine how much stronger you would be if you stopped giving attention to things that drain you without benefit. If you no longer let negativity, criticism, or circumstances outside your control affect your inner state. This is not about ignoring reality. It's about refusing to be controlled by what you cannot change. It's about using your energy wisely. This principle alone can transform the way you experience life. It removes unnecessary stress, eliminates wasted time, and allows you to operate with clarity. When you shift your focus from external worries to internal mastery, you gain an incredible sense of control, not over the world but over yourself. And that is the only control that truly matters. Another crucial aspect of Stoicism is the ability to detach from the outcome. This does not mean a lack of ambition or effort. It means putting in the work without becoming emotionally dependent on the result. Most people only feel satisfied if things go exactly as they hoped. When they face setbacks, they get discouraged. When they don't see immediate results, they doubt themselves. But the Stoics understood that while you can control your efforts, you cannot always control the outcome. And that's why they focused on the process rather than the reward. They committed to excellence not because of what they would gain, but because of who they would become in the process. This mindset is rare, and because it is rare, it is powerful. If you can train yourself to give your best without attaching your self-worth to success or failure, you become resilient. You are no longer shaken by disappointments. You don't crumble under pressure. You move forward with purpose, knowing that true satisfaction comes not from external validation, but from knowing you gave everything you had. This is a mentality that changes everything. It allows you to take bold action without fear. It removes hesitation. It gives you the confidence to pursue what others are too afraid to chase, because you no longer need guarantees to move forward. At the core of all these principles is the idea that true power is internal. The world is unpredictable. Circumstances will change. People will come and go. But the one thing you always have control over is yourself. And those who master themselves, who train their minds, who develop discipline, who refuse to be controlled by emotions or external conditions, these are the people who naturally rise above the rest. When you develop this level of inner mastery, something remarkable happens. You stop being easily affected by the things that trouble most people. You no longer waste energy reacting emotionally to every inconvenience, every setback, every opinion that doesn't align with your own. Instead, you become a person of stability, of control, of quiet strength. And in a world where most people are easily rattled, where emotions dictate decisions, this makes you stand out. The ability to remain calm under pressure is one of the rarest and most powerful traits a person can have. Think about it. How often do you see people lose control over minor inconveniences? A delayed flight, a critical comment, an unexpected challenge, and suddenly their entire mood shifts. They get angry, frustrated, discouraged. But the Stoics understood that this kind of reaction only leads to unnecessary suffering. They trained themselves to remain composed, no matter the situation. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions. It means mastering them. It means recognizing that anger, frustration, and anxiety are natural responses, but they do not have to control you. You have the ability to observe them, to understand them, and to choose how you respond. And when you do this consistently, you gain something most people never achieve: freedom from emotional instability. Imagine being the person who remains unshaken while everyone else is losing their composure. The one who doesn't panic when things go wrong. The one who approaches every challenge with a clear mind and steady focus. This is what makes a person truly powerful. Not their words, not their appearance, but their ability to stay in control when others cannot. But this level of composure is not something that happens overnight. It requires practice. It requires a commitment to self-awareness, to catching yourself in moments of frustration and consciously choosing a different response. Over time, this becomes second nature. And when it does, you become someone people respect. Not because you demand it, but because your presence alone commands it. The Stoics also understood the importance of perspective. They knew that most of the things people stress over are insignificant in the grand scheme of life. The things that feel like major problems today will often be forgotten in a year, a month, or even a week. Yet people allow themselves to be consumed by these temporary difficulties. This is why they practiced something known as negative visualization, mentally preparing themselves for challenges before they happened. They would imagine setbacks, losses, and difficulties, not to create fear, but to remove the shock factor when they occurred. By doing this, they became less reactive, more prepared, and far more resilient. This approach is powerful because it allows you to move through life with a sense of readiness. Instead of being caught off guard by difficulties, you face them with acceptance. You don't waste time wishing things were different. You adapt, you adjust, and you keep moving forward. Another crucial mindset the Stoics embraced was the ability to see obstacles as opportunities. Most people view challenges as roadblocks, as reasons to quit. But the Stoics saw them as a necessary part of growth. They understood that difficulties were not something to be avoided, but something to be used, to develop strength, patience, wisdom. When you shift your perspective in this way, everything changes. You stop dreading challenges and start embracing them. You stop seeing failure as the end and start seeing it as feedback. You stop waiting for life to be easy and start thriving in any condition. The reality is, most people never reach their full potential because they spend too much time avoiding discomfort. They choose what is easy, what is familiar, what requires the least effort. But those who truly succeed, who truly stand out, are the ones who seek growth, even when it's difficult. They understand that every challenge is an opportunity to improve, to refine themselves, to become more than they were before. This is why the Stoics were relentless in their pursuit of self-discipline. They knew that a person who can control themselves, who can resist temptations, endure discomfort, and stay committed to their values, is a person who can achieve anything. They understood that freedom is not found in doing whatever you feel like, but in having the strength to do what is right, even when it is difficult. Think about it. How many times have you seen people make decisions based on impulse, only to regret them later? They let cravings, distractions, and temporary emotions dictate their actions. But those who practice self-discipline operate differently. They make decisions based on principle, not impulse. They do what needs to be done, not just what feels good in the moment. And the result? They build lives of purpose, of strength, of consistency. They are the ones who succeed, while others struggle with inconsistency. They are the ones who are trusted, respected, and admired. Not because they were born with some special ability, but because they trained themselves to be different. At the core of all of this is a simple but powerful truth. Your habits shape your destiny. The small decisions you make daily, the way you respond to challenges, the level of discipline you maintain, these are the things that determine the life you create. And the Stoics understood that if you master these, you master everything else. They knew that greatness is not built in a day. It is built in the quiet moments, when no one is watching, when there is no immediate reward, when the only thing pushing you forward is your own commitment to excellence. This is where true strength is developed, not in grand gestures, but in the relentless consistency of doing what needs to be done, even when it's inconvenient. This is why they placed so much emphasis on self-discipline, because without it, even the most talented person will fall short. Without it, the most intelligent mind will accomplish little. It is not intelligence, luck, or external circumstances that determine success. It is the ability to master yourself, to stay focused when distractions arise, to remain steady when emotions flare, to act with purpose rather than impulse. But here's something most people overlook. Discipline is not about deprivation. It's not about making life miserable or removing joy. It's about freedom. The freedom that comes from knowing you are in control of yourself, that you are not at the mercy of your impulses. It's about the ability to trust yourself, to know that when you set a goal, you will follow through. And that trust, built over time, is what creates true confidence. Confidence does not come from external validation. It does not come from what others think of you. It comes from keeping your own promises, from proving to yourself, day after day, that you are someone who does what they say they will do. Most people struggle with confidence because they have broken their own trust too many times. They have set goals and abandoned them. They have made commitments and failed to keep them. Over time, this weakens them. It makes them doubt themselves. But the Stoics understood that confidence is built through action, not through words, not through motivation alone, through consistent, disciplined action. And once you develop this, you become unstoppable. Because you no longer need external motivation to push you forward. You have something stronger. You have self-respect. And this is where most people get it wrong. They think motivation is the key to success, that they need to feel inspired every day to take action. But the truth is, motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. And if you depend on it, you will always be inconsistent. The Stoics knew that true progress is made not when you feel like working, but when you work regardless of how you feel. This is why they practiced voluntary hardship. They deliberately put themselves in uncomfortable situations, not because they enjoyed suffering, but because they understood its value. They fasted, they exposed themselves to the cold, they trained their minds to be comfortable with discomfort. Why? Because they knew that if they could handle small challenges voluntarily, they would be ready when life threw real challenges at them. Most people avoid discomfort. They seek pleasure, convenience, and ease. But the Stoics understood that this weakens a person, that if you always choose the easy path, you will struggle when life becomes difficult. They trained themselves to be mentally and physically resilient, so that when hardships came, they could face them without fear. And this is something that applies to you as well. If you want to be strong, truly strong, you must train yourself for it. You must be willing to embrace discomfort, to do the hard things, to push beyond what is easy. This is how you develop unshakable confidence, not by hoping life will get easier, but by becoming someone who can handle whatever life throws your way. This mindset shift alone can change everything. Because instead of seeing challenges as something to dread, you start to see them as opportunities. Every obstacle becomes a chance to grow stronger. Every setback becomes a lesson. And when you start living this way, you develop a level of resilience that most people never achieve. And here's the thing, when you develop this kind of strength, people notice. They may not always understand it, but they will respect it. Because most people are controlled by their circumstances. When things go well, they feel good. When things go wrong, they fall apart. But when you are the person who remains steady, who doesn't panic, who keeps moving forward no matter what, you become different. You become someone others look to in times of crisis. This is why the Stoics valued composure so highly. Because when you remain calm, you make better decisions. You don't act out of fear, out of frustration, out of desperation. You act with clarity, with precision, with wisdom. And this, more than anything else, determines your success in life. Not luck, not talent, but your ability to remain steady when the world around you is chaotic. This is what gives you an edge, not just in business, not just in relationships, but in every area of life. Because when you are the person who doesn't break under pressure, you become invaluable. You become someone people trust, someone people respect. And that is something no amount of money, fame, or external success can buy. This level of strength is rare, not because it's impossible to achieve, but because most people aren't willing to do what it takes. They want results without effort. They want respect without discipline. But the truth is, you cannot fake resilience. You cannot pretend to be strong when life tests you. Either you have built yourself into someone who can handle pressure, or you haven't. And the only way to develop this is by embracing the challenges that most people avoid. Think about how most people react when things don't go their way. They complain. They look for someone to blame. They get frustrated, discouraged, or even give up. But the Stoics saw these moments differently. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they asked, "How can I use this?" Every difficulty, every setback, every obstacle was seen as an opportunity to train their minds, to strengthen their character, to become better. This is the mindset that separates those who succeed from those who remain stuck. Not intelligence, not luck, but the ability to see every challenge as a chance to grow. Because the truth is, struggle is not the enemy. Struggle is the path. It is the fire that forges strength. And the people who understand this, who embrace difficulty instead of avoiding it, become unstoppable. But there's something else. Strength is not just about how much you can endure. It's also about how you carry yourself, how you respond to negativity, to criticism, to failure. Weak people react emotionally. They let their frustrations control them. They lash out when things don't go their way. But the Stoics trained themselves to remain composed, no matter the situation. They didn't let external events dictate their emotions. They controlled their response. And this is something that applies to you as well. Because if you allow yourself to be easily shaken, if every criticism, every inconvenience, every delay throws you off course, you will never reach your full potential. You must learn to be unshakable, to be the person who remains steady, who doesn't react impulsively, who operates from a place of clarity and purpose. This doesn't mean ignoring your emotions. It means mastering them. It means understanding that your feelings are not in control. You are. And once you develop this level of self-mastery, everything changes. Because when you are no longer controlled by emotions, you become truly powerful. You make better decisions. You earn the respect of others. And most importantly, you respect yourself. But here's the hard truth. This level of self-mastery does not come naturally. It must be trained. Just like physical strength, mental strength must be developed through consistent effort. And the way to build it is simple. Challenge yourself every day. Do the things you don't feel like doing. Stay disciplined when it would be easier to relax. Control your reactions when frustration arises. These small daily decisions determine who you become. And this is where most people fail. They want to be strong, but they don't want to put in the work. They want confidence, but they don't want to build it through action. But the reality is, you cannot think your way into strength. You must live it. You must embody it. You must make it a part of who you are. This is why the Stoics didn't just talk about their philosophy, they lived it. They didn't just read about discipline, they practiced it. They didn't just admire resilience in others, they cultivated it within themselves. And that is why their wisdom has lasted for centuries, not because it sounds good, but because it works. Because those who apply it transform their lives in ways most people never will. And this is what it comes down to. Are you willing to do what others won't? Are you willing to embrace discomfort, to train your mind, to master yourself? Because if you are, then nothing can stop you. Not fear, not failure, not even the opinions of others. Because once you become someone who is truly in control of themselves, you become someone who can shape their own destiny. And when you reach that level, you will realize something profound. Most people spend their lives reacting to the world. They let circumstances dictate their mood, their confidence, their direction. They live in a constant state of dependence, on approval, on luck, on the hope that things will go their way. But the moment you take full responsibility for yourself, everything shifts. You stop waiting. You stop relying on things outside your control. You become the force that shapes your own life. This is what the Stoics understood better than anyone. They knew that the only true power lies within. You cannot control the economy, the opinions of others, or the unexpected twists of life. But you can control your mind, and that is where your strength comes from. Because when you master your thoughts, you master your actions. And when you master your actions, you master your future. But here's the catch. This is not something you achieve once and never think about again. It is a daily discipline, a constant practice. Every single day, you are faced with choices. Do you react emotionally, or do you stay composed? Do you take the easy path, or do you choose the difficult one that will make you stronger? Do you let excuses stop you, or do you push forward regardless? These small decisions, repeated over time, determine your character. And character is everything. It is not built in a single moment of strength. It is built in the countless moments where you choose discipline over comfort, action over hesitation, resilience over complaint. And here's the most important part. No one else can do this for you. No one else can develop your discipline. No one else can train your mind. It is entirely up to you. Most people never realize this. They search for shortcuts, for motivation, for external solutions to internal problems. But the truth is, the power to change your life has always been within you. You just have to be willing to claim it. And that begins by making a decision, not tomorrow, not next week, but now. A decision to stop making excuses. A decision to stop waiting for the perfect conditions. A decision to become the kind of person who does what needs to be done, regardless of how they feel in the moment. Because that is what separates the strong from the weak. The weak let their feelings control them. The strong control their feelings. And the moment you understand this, you begin to see life differently. Challenges no longer feel like punishments. They feel like opportunities. Setbacks no longer feel like failures. They feel like lessons. And every single day becomes a chance to refine yourself, to push yourself, to become a little bit stronger than you were yesterday. This is how you build an unshakable mind, not through luck, not through talent, but through daily discipline, through proving to yourself over and over again that you are in control, that you are capable, that you are stronger than any excuse, any fear, any challenge that stands in your way. And if you can commit to this, if you can make self-mastery your priority, there is nothing that can stop you. Because once you learn to master yourself, you gain the ultimate freedom. The freedom to be unaffected by negativity. The freedom to stay focused when others are distracted. The freedom to pursue your purpose without hesitation. This is what it means to live by the principles of Stoicism. It is not about appearing strong. It is about becoming strong. It is not about talking about discipline. It is about living it. And the more you commit to this path, the more you will realize that everything you need has been within you all along. You just have to be willing to step up and claim it. The journey to self-mastery is not an easy one, but it is the most rewarding path you will ever walk. Every challenge you overcome, every moment of discipline, every decision to rise above your emotions makes you stronger. And the best part? You're just getting started. You have the power to shape your own destiny, to build an unshakable mind, to live with purpose and confidence. No more waiting for the right moment. No more relying on external circumstances. The time to take control is now. The time to become the best version of yourself is today. And if this message resonated with you, if you feel that spark inside pushing you to grow, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. Here, you will find more insights, more wisdom, and more motivation to keep you on track. This is just the beginning, and I want you to be part of this journey. So hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join a community of people committed to strength, resilience, and personal growth. Your future self will thank you for it. Keep pushing forward, stay disciplined, and remember, you are capable of more than you ever imagined. Keep going, keep growing. I'll see you in the next video.